Good morning. I think we're live. Good morning, everybody. Just checking in with the chat and seeing people from all over the world again, which is really lovely. And trusting that we've got a good connection. We've improved our connectivity, which some people might be pleased to know. So we shouldn't have any problems with, the circle of death anymore with improved internet. So you could just give me a thumbs up to say that it is actually working okay. I'm assuming it is. Great. Thanks, Amanda. From down south. Lovely to see you and everyone, all these familiar names, some of the faces of which I'm familiar with too. So wherever you are in the world, and, we have this agreed calendar, so we're all experiencing, no doubt, the strange perception of winding down another year. And I don't know about anyone else, but, these years these years are going very fast. And I don't know if it's because of getting older or just things speeding up. But I remember speaking to a friend of mine who had teenagers, and they're still quite young. I think they're in their 20s. And she confirmed that they feel that things are going pretty fast too. But when I was their age, I don't know, it just seemed like time was just so slow. You couldn't wait to get out of school and grow up. And the days were just seemed endless. And a year seemed like a very long time. Not anymore. Well, that's my perception, and I think it's a shared perception. So who knows what's going on in the collective psyche, apart from lots of weird things. Technology is speeding us all up. We want things immediately, now, including enlightenment. We want enlightenment today, or if not today, perhaps tomorrow. This is a very different experience from our ancestors or the ancient masters. A very different relationship with time. And as a result, I think we can safely say that there's a lot of impatience in the world. There's a lot of restlessness. There's a lot of, obviously, confusion. And, all these mind states of when the mind's so speedy and impacted by the speediness of the world, it gives rise to a lot of restlessness, anxiety, confusion. Obviously, it's like stirring up the waters. And that's where we find ourselves in these current days, for most of us, some more than others, as we know. And then I guess one thing we can reflect on is that even though sometimes we might feel we've got a crazy mind happening, you can also reflect in those moments that how fortunate we all are to have come upon these teachings of the masters of millennium gone by. Some of the readings I read on my channel are from, well, not just the Buddha and Jesus Christ, but, we're talking 8th century masters, 4th century, a long, long time ago, when the world was a very different place. Obviously, some things were a lot worse, physically anyway, and mentally, who knows, But there certainly wasn't the pressure of technology and materialism, capitalism pushing them along as much. And so the mind states would have been quite different. And the ability just to settle the mind without a lot of intellectualizing, conceptualizing would have been a lot easier. But, I don't want to romanticize all these past centuries, but there were certainly some reasons why the ground was fertile for creating a lot of very great awake masters of both genders, even despite the gender difficulties for women. There were still a lot of women awakening, and still are, but anyway, that's my little end of year reflection or rave, or however you want to relate to it. But also, I guess it's important to say, as we come towards the end of the speeding towards and crashing towards the end of another year, don't know how it feels for you all. It's good to take stock of what's important, what's really important in this world for you, getting our priorities in order, knowing that the only way we're all heading is towards our physical demise. And that could happen tomorrow. It can happen in many years' time, but it's the only guarantee in life. So, when we reflect on death, which is such an important reflection, and in our tradition, in Buddhist tradition, we're encouraged to reflect on death every day. You might think that seems a bit morbid or could give rise to depression, but in fact, the opposite is true. It makes you realize what petty things we hold on to and run after, when the reality of death is always staring us right in the face in terms of this physical form. And we're experiencing it every day too, with the deterioration of the body, the aging of the body. So let that be such a wise reflection for us to wake us up and to bring us a sense of joy and lightness and care for one another. That what's really important is to help other people and to alleviate other people's suffering, not just our own. It's not just about our own selfish journey. So when we serve and think about how we can help others in various ways, just how much joy that can bring into our life. And the end of the year, Christmas, and that's what it's supposed to be about. Not just about commercialism and what great present I'm going to get or the pressures of family, but just thinking that, it's a good time to slow down, wake up, and be kind and generous. So let us, what we do, if you haven't been here before, we commence with a meditation, and I can see there's a few questions already popping up, but just leave the chat for now, especially during the meditation, and perhaps leave the questions till after the meditation, because I'm liable to miss them if you put them up, because this thing just keeps scrolling. So let's turn our attention away from any other distractions for about 20 minute or so sit. So please make yourself comfortable wherever you find yourself, in your room, in your car, outside, inside. If you can sit cross-legged and keep your spine upright, that's great. If you're in a chair, just make sure you're sitting upright. And I'm just going to ask you to keep your eyes open for the beginning of this meditation at least. But just let your eyes, if you're not used to open-eyed meditation, don't strain, don't force. Just, if you need to blink, blink. If you get into a nice state where the eyes can just rest open without blinking. That let that happen naturally, but don't force anything. And what I'm going to do is just start by finding a point to rest and gaze your eyes on. Now, if you've got access to the sky, you can just gaze at the sky. You remember when you were kids at school and you used to look out the window and automatically you'd go into a lovely little quiet trance just gazing at the sky. If you don't have a sky and you have a screen in front of you, you can just gaze at my form. But when I say gaze, it's let the eyes be gentle and let the objects in front of your eyes be soft so that there's no hard, sharp edges. And what we're going to do in this meditation is commence with the view, what's called right view. So we can think of this literally as a literal view in terms of looking, but also a deeper view in terms of the nature of reality. And we're not actually going to do anything but just rest and observe. And I'll simply offer a few pointers to help settle the mind in the view. So don't let the eyes wander here, there, and everywhere. Just gaze in one direction. And let your awareness expand. And by that I mean take in everything. Be like the wide open sky. Let go of any labels about objects. If you hear a sound, just hear a sound. If the label comes up, bird, car, voice, just let it go. So the sound comes in, the sound dissolves and passes away. If an object crosses your visual field, just let it cross. If you're gazing at my form, just let it dissolve into the space in which I'm sitting. Whatever thoughts come into your mind, and it's a vast open mind, you notice them, they're flying through like a bird in the sky. Let them fly away. Don't grab hold of the birds that fly in the mind. Whatever physical sensations come into this vast field of your awareness, don't label, just know, just feel, and be aware of its constant change, its flux, its flow. Nothing to cling to, nothing to push away. Nothing to do in this meditation, nothing to achieve. It's just a non-meditation meditation. Effortless effort. Non-action through action. And the view, which slowly becomes clearer, you see that this mind is just open, empty, and spacious. It's not a thing, not a phenomena, not a substance. But there's a knowing happening. The nature of this mind, the nature of everyone's mind, is this empty, wide cognizance. As soon as you try to grasp that or pin it down, you've lost it. As soon as you try to think about it, intellectualize it, or get it, you've concretized it, conceptualized it. It's just an idea. So see if either of these two tendencies are happening. And let them dissolve. As you learn to rest in the natural state without strain or effort. And things by themselves will start to soften. Sharp edges will soften. Strong perceptions of objects will dissolve. Dualities will release. All by themselves. It's not something you do or you get or achieve. It's not a party trick or a technique. It's just the nature coming into view. So this is the meditation. And if you feel like you wish to gently close your eyes, you can. If you can just relax still with the eyes gazing, then continue to do so. If you find yourself drifting in thinking, memory, fantasies, it's important to open the eyes and just remember, which is what mindfulness is all about, to remember is just this moment of wakefulness. In this moment of wakefulness, when we remember, it's clear. The mind is clear, open, and relaxed. The view is to remember that the mind is already free. The nature of the mind is already peaceful, naturally. It's only when we start to pick up myriad things, thoughts, memories, objects, emotions, views and opinions, that this natural state becomes obscured. So see this. Keep coming back to this view. See what's obscuring, what's darkening the sky, what's blocking the clarity and the peace. Just see it. And in the seeing, all these things can dissolve naturally as well. So the view is natural, and therefore it's ultimately effortless, not something you need to create. And certainly not something you need to acclaim as an achievement. Because it's always and already there. Belonging to no one, and yet common to everyone. So gently come out from the meditation. Have a little stretch if you need to. I do. Oh. And I'll scroll back and see if there's any questions that I missed. People who are eager to get their questions in. There is one. Okay, there's one from Ron and Lynn. Hey there, I have a question. I have had deep realization and altered states of consciousness that I've been integrating for 8 years, and I have decided to stop meditating. Is mindfulness enough going ahead? Well, I guess my question is, why would you stop meditating? Look at what's going on there. But also this distinction between mindfulness and meditation. I mean, mindfulness, if you're just thinking about mindfulness in daily life of doing things, going, when you're driving or washing up or just being mindful of your physical activities. I mean, it's hard for me to say about what's going on for you, but the point about just sitting still like we did then, you should have experienced, things settle, go a little deeper. So looking into the nature of reality when one is still, physically still, putting away all distractions, there's lots of benefits to that, not just in terms of seeing the nature of reality and deepening our insight. There's also a lot of health benefits of just stopping. The pulse rate decreases, the blood pressure balances out. The body really likes just stopping and sitting and meditating. So, it's your call, but I would wonder why you would want to stop if you've really had deep understandings. It should be taking you more and more into wanting to meditate. So, not sure what's going on, but, life has a way of teaching us anyway. So whatever you come up against will probably teach you which way to go. But, the other thing is there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just throwing out a few questions, a few inquiries. So Wendy's asking, I've been listening to your Advaita Vedanta readings. How does Advaita Vedanta view self compared to Buddhism? Yeah, well, this word self, this is a real problem, because we know that the Buddha talked about the non-self nature of things. He didn't say we don't have a self, because that would be stupid. Here I am, right? But within this form that I call Jayasara, what the Buddha said is that these are comprised of the 5 khandhas, which include the 4 elements of earth, water, fire, wind, air. No different from the trees you see behind me, except hopefully a higher level of consciousness, a self-reflexive consciousness. But within this form that you see, there is no entity, a permanent entity that we call a self, right? So when you say, what is this form or your form, which bit? Like is this arm Jayasara? If I chop off the arm, has Jayasara gone? So which bit is me? So there's no self-abiding entity within these forms or any phenomena, right? Now, Advaita Vedanta says exactly the same thing. And, particularly if you listen to the most recent, which was the Ashtavaka Gita, I think the very opening, he's talking about you are not earth, water, fire, or wind. You're not anything that you think you are, or this idea of yourself as a personality, or even this mind of discursive mind, thinking mind, that we somehow pull all together and say, this is me up here, pointing to my head, which is interesting, yeah? That's what we do. But then they came up with the word self with a capital S to point to the true self. And then so Buddhists get really uppity. Some Buddhists get really uppity with that because they just hear words. The Buddha said there's no self. Advaita Vedanta saying there's the self. But they're just words pointing to, and this is the problem with words, always was, always will be. But the self that the Advaita Vedanta school is referring to is the nature of reality, the ultimate self, which, you know, is not a thing either. You can't say that it's a permanent fixed substance, but it is a reality that needs to be experienced, understood, recognized. And, you know, so then in, say, Tibetan Buddhism, you have this self probably equating with the Dharmakaya. In Buddhism, Theravada, so you'd probably equate it more with Nibbana, the unmanifest, the unborn, the uncreated, the ground of being. So there's so many different words. In Sufism, it's the beloved. In Christianity, you could say it's God. You know, the unmanifest God, not the ideas we have of God, of some bearded creature that's judging us. But it's you know, if you listen to Meister Eckhart talking about it, you can hear, you know, so deeply related to Buddhist ideas of emptiness, unmanifest. But the self in Advaita Vedanta is the same thing. So yeah, listen to Ramana Maharshi. As he talks about it, he makes it, I think, very clear. But words, you know, as we know, the way is beyond language. Okay, so I'm just scrolling down to find the new questions. This meditation reminds me of centering prayer, which involves having a focus on one phrase or word. For this, I was looking at a photo of a sky. Nice. So I may choose to have a visual meditation now. Sure. But even if you're looking, I mean, the whole point of looking at the sky is that the sky is spacious and empty, so you don't zone in on anything. So if you're looking at a photo, you know, we have edges around a photo, and then we might start thinking about the photo and objectifying it. So whatever, for that particular meditation, it was to make the mind very open and spacious, and to, you know, to really start to appreciate and connect with the non-dual nature. You know, the not two in Advaita Vedanta, that's what Advaita means, is not two. So that, you know, if you're looking at my form, hopefully you saw it, just all the edges softened, and you could see that I'm just part of this wide open space, as are the trees behind me. And ultimately there is no separation between me and the space I'm in. And some of the objects you might see, the birds are flying through the sky in the back there, I can see. So when we look at an object, the idea is to kind of let that object dissolve. And, you know, if we've got the right view and we're not thinking, objectifying it, then the mind will just naturally become one with it. And all the edges will dissolve. Okay, so Ron was saying, by meditation, I mean deep insight. So you're saying you're giving up meditation. Is mindfulness enough? Yeah, it's a bit hard to answer that, Ron, because again, we're dealing with words, and I may not be understanding what you mean, but I don't know why you would stop meditation if it leads to deep insight. Because otherwise it sounds like you just want to stay on the surface of things, which might be fine. But yeah, you might want to go and work with a teacher if you have a teacher, and that makes it easier to just speak one-on-one about these things, rather than me saying something that's not helpful or because I'm not understanding where you're coming from. So Evan has a question. How can I control my thoughts after meditation? Dealing with thoughts in real life is a battle. Any tips? Yeah, well, I think it was Talopa that said this. It's like, put down your guns. Stop going into battle. Stop seeing it as a battle. So if you really change your attitude towards thoughts, and this is, I guess, about surrender, just surrender to them. Don't see them as a problem, and then they don't become a problem. They just are what they are, and you refuse to go into battle, right? So who they got to fight with? If you refuse to go into the war with them and battle, they haven't got an enemy. So they'll just whimper away and they'll have a go for a while, but just keep surrendering. The other thing I would encourage you to do, Evan, is, to use some of the meditations that are on my channel that get you to look directly at thoughts, particularly the last recent one from Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. It's up there. I think it's like 3 videos back. And that would be the best teaching for you to listen to at the moment, because he's helping us see that the nature of these thoughts are completely empty. They're actually made of nothing. But it's us going willingly and stupidly into battle with them as if they're something real and powerful, and then we empower them. But when you and that's what sitting still is about. Sit still and really investigate the nature of these thoughts. And then you go, aha, my God, I really thought there was something. I really thought they were me. I really thought they were true. And then when you really start to look in the quiet stillness of a meditation, these insights will naturally develop. But you can have that inquiry to help you that, what is a thought? Where is it? Can you find it now? Can you show me your thought? Can you hold on to that thought that says, I'm a bad person, I'm a great person, or this is right, this is wrong? Can you show it? There's nothing there. It's just it's an experience of some sort of blip, energy blip. But we are so fooled in this world to believe in our thoughts, particularly our views and opinions about things as right and wrong, good and bad. And then we go into battle with everybody else in other countries. So yeah, that Khyentse Rinpoche talk, it's called, what's it called? Bear with. Anyway, you'll see it's got a blue head. And the blue head's got all these, I'm just having a look on my channel now. Blue head's got all these thoughts dissolving. Okay, it's called The Empty Nature of Thoughts. It's a great teaching, fantastic teaching. If all of you haven't heard it, because we've all got this issue, go and have a listen to it after this or sometime. Bjorn, what can I do to overcome my fear of death, of being sucked into the void? I'm terrified of the unknown and I can't get over the threshold. Well, there's a lot there, Bjorn. It's not easy to kind of answer that question. Well, I'll try my best, But before I start reflecting on that, also to say there is a playlist on my channel headed Teachings for Death and Dying. So if you were willing to listen to those, and there's quite a few of them from different traditions, so kind of plunge into your fear. These teachings are profound on facing death and dying. which we're all doing and going to do. So there's a lot of teachings there that you get, a lot of resources. So, but, you know, a couple of things to say, and some of the assumptions here to pick up is that somehow you've got this idea that you're going to be sucked into the void. So, you know, where did you get that idea? Where do we get these ideas from? You know, what the imagination creates. You know, this idea that there's a me here that's going to be sucked into the void. So this is what meditation is about. It's about looking at this notion we have created of this me, this permanent me that's going to die. And all these masters and all these meditations that we're offering are all just trying to get us to look at this presumption that there's some sort of entity here, Bjorn, we'll call him. And, you know, who is this Bjorn? Who do you think you are? And who is it you think's going to die? You know, at the grossest level, we think we're the body. So if this body's, you know, this body of Jayasara dies, she's not here. But where am I anyway right now? You know, am I just this smelly body that has to go to the toilet every day and wash and fill it with food to keep it going? And apply creams when the skin's dry. You know, is that me? And then I get a sore back. Is that me? Oh, no, it's not me. No, I'm not the body. What am I then? Oh, I'm this, I'm the mind. Which bit of the mind am I? Which bit of the personality, which has no consistency anyway? So there's an assumption here that there's a me that's a body or a mind that's going to die. Obviously, the body is going to what we call die, but even that's not true. It's just the elements will break up, and depending what we do with it, it'll either go back into nature, into the earth, and it's part of nature. It goes back to nature, or we'll burn the bits. We're still left with ashes, so those ashes will still be part of the phenomenal world, you know, back into nature. So is that what we're afraid of? Losing this body that we're so attached to? And when did we start to believe that we were this body? Or is it just this sense of me that we have, and which is another creation? It's not actually true either. But from many lifetimes, from this life birth, we've been told, we've developed this sense of a me, what Nisargadatta calls the I am. You know, there's this, it's hard to put your finger on it, but yeah, this is me. I'm not the body, but this is me. And that has to be investigated too in order to transcend it. So fear is just really ultimately a delusion, an ignorance of who we, you know, what we truly are. If we believe we are these bodies and these sense of me, I am, then of course we'll be terrified that it's going to die, going to change, because it is. But we need to realize that that's not who and what we are. And that is what the Buddha was trying to do, is by help us understand by saying, you know, there's no permanent self here, guys. Wake up to the nature of reality. The nature of reality isn't born and doesn't die. And that is the nature of our deepest reality, our deepest truth. But as soon as we try and, you know, which a lot of people in different kind of trips do, they start to claim that as some sort of thing, personality or attainment too, you know. This unborn reality, that's who I am. Like, no, it's not. Why make another me out of a thing that's free from all sense of me and limitation? Anyway, so Bjorn, I just encourage you to keep practicing. What can I say? Just keep practicing and keep moving through all these confusions and delusions about who and what you think you are. And that's what we're all doing. You know, we're all afraid of death, huh? And dying. And that's what the practice is all about, to wake up to it. So you're not alone there. It's not like you've got some special problem. When mindfulness is so simple and beautiful, why is it necessary to learn so many precepts and concepts? Well, it's not. If you can get it straight away, if you see the simplicity and the beauty, that's the whole point. Put away all these concepts. But the thing is, most people don't just rest into it straight away, because we are so intellectualized and so educated that the concepts are just tools, just the raft to take us to the other shore. And when we get there, we get off the raft and we leave it behind. But they're just, you know, because we use words to communicate, don't we? If I just sat here for an hour and a half and said nothing and just looked at the screen, that might work for some people. That'd be wonderful. Be wonderful for me. But you're all expecting me to say something, and you've all got questions. And that's why, you know, there's these words creating ideas, images, to try and help us come to the place of no ideas and no images. So eventually, yeah, all these precepts and concepts are let go of, and the simplicity is found in the silence, well beyond words and ideas. Okay. Someone's asking, is meditation recommended for people with chronic pain, as it's difficult to sit with chronic back pain? Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely, meditation is very good for people with chronic pain, but they don't necessarily have to sit. You know, we need to do what our doctors are encouraging, or physios are encouraging us to do. And if sitting is actually exacerbating the problem, especially sitting cross-legged on the floor, then, you know, lying down, taking whatever medicine, and the same principles apply to be with it, because the pain's not going to go away or get worse if you meditate or don't meditate. But what the meditation may help a person do is to understand the body, to understand pain as not me, not mine. And then at some point, the mind can separate from the body, the identification with the body, so that the pain is there, but there's no more suffering. And when there's no more pushing away the pain, and sometimes the body, the muscles relax and things can really shift. You know, I've had that experience myself with meditation. It's when you got, say you got a pain in your shoulder and you go, oh, I want it to go away, I want it to go away. So the mind's saying that, and then this is getting tighter and tighter. I want it to go away, I want it to go away. Oh gosh, if I breathe, if I meditate, will it go away? So there's there's a subtle push. Now, if we get to a point where I'm just going to be with the pain, I'm going to investigate the pain, not stupidly, like in terms of sitting in a really bad position or something, but if it's there, it's there. And we can, what is this pain? Is it something that is permanent? Is it always feel that way? And then as we go deeper, we see that pain is just, it is in itself rising and passing these sensations that come and go. And sometimes in very deep meditations, you can transcend that altogether for a while. And all sorts of things can happen. So absolutely recommended, but you've got to be sensible with how you what posture you take, obviously. Oh, this thing skips. It's got a mind of its own. I think I found it. Would you have an opinion on whether or not there are masters with an awake mind in our present world that we may visit? Well, yeah, I think there's quite a few, but, they don't give out their addresses that easily. And even those that are awake, people wouldn't even recognize them as awake anyway. So, I always say to people, if you have good fortune, the karma, then there might be an opportunity. But, also got to look at what you're looking for. If you think that if I find this master, that's what I need, most of them will tell you that, I can't wake you up. We have to wake ourselves up. There's lots of masters on my channels that you can listen to. They're not here in their physical form, but their wisdom is timeless and can wake you up, and wakes many people up. And of course, being in the presence of someone who is like that is very powerful. But, if it's going to happen, it'll happen. Is ultimate reality itself impermanent, says Adam? No, I mean, that's the thing. It transcends concepts of permanence and impermanence. So as soon as we say, is it permanent or impermanent, we're back into the world of duality, of concepts. What you could say, and this is only saying it, you'd have to experience this for yourself, or even saying that's not actually it's a paradox. But ultimate reality is ultimate reality. And they talk about it's beyond existence or non-existence. It's beyond permanence or impermanence in terms of concepts. But you could say it's always was, always is, and always will be. It just is. Okay. Lots of thank yous and blessings. Thank you. Maybe just put, if you can, I appreciate your good wishes, but I just put questions in if you can, and that helps me find things. And Kimberly's written some nice reflections that you can all read. Okay, Norma 9. I can keep a still mind during the day pretty well, but when laying down to go to sleep at night, my mind will become restless. Yeah. Maybe you could do a breathing meditation for this purpose sometime. There's lots of yoga nidras that you could do that I have. They're a good way to steady the mind, and you can find that on the yoga nidra playlist. Okay, Pasika. Hello, Samaneri from Sweden. How is the all that the Buddha talks about when describing how consciousness arises with sense objects, senses in a changing flow? How then is awareness an unchanging state? Sorry, what I meant was, in what way is awareness, which in some traditions is an unchanging state or phenomena, in relation to the all the Buddha talks about, that everything is changing? Okay, I think I know what you mean. So the Buddha talked about all phenomena, sankharas, compounded things. Now, everything in that compounded world is changing. Awareness, because awareness is such a ephemeral thing, we have this sense that I am permanent, I'm unchanging, my consciousness as awareness is unchanging. But, you know, this sense of I am is constantly changing. And the awareness that knows the body and the things it changes as a sense of I am is also a changeable thing. But what the Buddha was talking about that is undying, unborn, and he called it nibbana. But he also talked about the mind that is radiant, transcendent above that. So there's different kind of levels, layers, depths, and nuances to this notion of awareness, which is difficult to talk about without creating more ideas in people's heads. Sorry. And that can really only be, you know, and this is why I encourage everyone to do, you have to experience it and understand it at a non-conceptual level. Because what happens, what you're saying here can just do your head in. Does my head in, does everybody's head in, and then we start comparing it with what other traditions say, and we go, well, that sounds different. They are wrong, we're right, we've got the right way. You know, and this is the problem with religions and spiritual traditions. But when one has an understanding of the nature of reality that transcends all these words, concepts, and impermanent states, then there's no more arguments, confusions, or discussions. It's just knowing in the silence that this is where it's at. So it's good to recognize that all phenomena are anicca, constantly changing, impermanent. And the Buddha asked us to start from there. You know, when he was teaching his disciples and monks and lay people, it was always look at the fact that this body, all this, everything in this world is impermanent, because we walk about thinking with this assumption that I'm here forever, everything's permanent, nothing's going to change. I mean, we kind of know it's not, but then deep down we cling so much to it, and that's why we're terrified of death. So, because we obviously are taking something, you know, we want it to be permanent in this phenomenal world, but it's not. So we start from there. We can start from there, or we can start from the other view, which is recognizing the undying state that is already present here and now, right? But don't start putting labels on it and analyzing it. We're well away from it. So just keep practicing to know it for yourself. Oh, where are we gone? So someone's asking, you know, for advice about a parent who suffered from mental illness and wasn't there for my son. Now, I'm not sure if you're the parent. I'm struggling with the guilt of a parent who has suffered from mental illness and wasn't there for my son. Okay, so you're the parent in many ways. He has distanced himself from me, loads of pain. Any advice? Well, I mean, that's a very profound and no doubt complex interpersonal relationship. And you know, a little bit of advice may or may not help. I would encourage you to work with someone, a therapist, a counselor, to work through that. That's my advice. And you know, the other advice is to just practice a lot of forgiveness for yourself first and for your son. And you know, these things happen for various reasons, causes and conditions, what we inherit from our parents. And we have to be able to forgive ourselves and move on. And he may or may not when we do that, he might come back and connect. But, I can't honestly give a, satisfactory answer. This is something I think you need to work with in a more long-term way with a therapist. That's where therapy helps. Just meditating by yourself. Some people think meditation's the cure for everything. And, we have relationships and we have to start from that and work more in a therapeutic context. So if you can work with a counsellor or someone to, take it slowly. There's no quick answer to this. And you have to work through a lot of pain and the guilt, as you said, and move towards forgiveness slowly. Okay. Still looking for a question. Oh, dear. Could the podcast include more segments about Kashmir shavism? Maybe. I don't know. I don't plan any of this, by the way. It just happens. If it comes, it comes. Thanks for sharing Mulligan Stew about your mother's last moments. So, Kenny, you're asking for a satsang that points inwards to awareness. Well, kind of that's what I just did. So whether you're late to the session, you can go back, because these things are saved on the archive. You can go back and listen to the meditation. It might help. I'm skipping a few questions because some of them are just like I can't really, adequately address them. And a lot of just comments, actually. So, oh, good. I think we've got to the end. Oh, no, we haven't. Do you think life is a type of school or university that a soul needs to graduate? Well, undoubtedly. Yes, we're all in preschool, aren't we? Preschool's quite a nice idea. At least if we're in preschool, we're open and fresh and excited. I love preschoolers. Would you know of a place around the Central Coast where I might find a Tibetan Buddhist teacher? Yes, Google will tell you. I don't know. There's probably something there. But, that's why we have technology now. It provides us with many answers that I don't know. I've lost my mouse. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. What is life about after all? Well, that's for you to find out and to align yourself with alignment. This is quite funny this morning that the chat is just kind of all over the place, literally, metaphorically, and literally. And people talking to each other, which is doing my head in. So I'm just going to take one more question, and then I've got to go to another meditation this morning. And so I'll do one more question. I'll just talk about what's happening towards the end of the year. Okay, how do you approach spiritual pride and the urge to leverage spiritual insights in order to improve my life situation? This is something I've been struggling more and more with recently. Yeah, the pride is the ego. And if you're developing pride in experiences or spiritual insights, then it's just the ego building itself up. And this is what spirituality can and does do, particularly in this modern age. It just becomes another thing to achieve, another commodity to get, another master to meet, another empowerment to have. It's just the same smelly ego, and it thinks, well, now I'm going to be spiritual. And then I can tell everybody about my spiritual experiences, and I can become a guru myself and a meditation teacher and charge a lot of money and, you know, start a cult. It's going to the other extreme. Or tell all my family how useless they are. And they should be on the spiritual path too, because I'm spiritual. Which leads to Kenny's question, how to give up the seeking mind. Exactly. Just see how much ego is involved in even in our spiritual practices. It's just more delusion. What keeps me wanting to learn more knowledge instead of just being? Delusion. You know, we think that if we get the next book, the next podcast, the next empowerment, the next meeting the master, then that's going to do it. Whereas it's, you know, the reality, it's just here and now, isn't it? You know, that's the funny thing. It's like, where are you going? What are you doing? Just stop. This is what the Buddha said. Just stop. And someone, Angulimala was saying to him, he was chasing after him to try and kill him, actually. And Buddha had psychic powers, obviously. So in Angulimala's view, it looked like the Buddha was moving forward and he could never reach him. He kept chasing him. And he said, stop, monk. And the Buddha said, I have stopped, Angulimala. Why don't you stop? And at that moment, he woke up. So we just stop wanting to go here, get that, achieve this, get away from that. It's all just tanha, desire, craving, and that keeps us bound in samsara. So when we just stop right now, which is what I'm going to do, literally, metaphorically, and just, you know, point you back to, if you came late, point you back to that meditation or any of the meditations that the masters say. You don't, you know, it's all there. It's all there. Just stop. So we're going to stop now. And I'm also going to say, yeah, this is the last session for 2025 live stream. And I wish you all the best for the festive season. And I hope you stop and have a peaceful, calm, happy time with your loved ones, or if you're alone, to be okay with that. Be with the birds. They're nice. The birds are nice. The animals are nice. Bring up a lot of sadness for people if they're estranged from family. And so even though it's the last session for the year, Jitindriya is going to do one more in the first one of 2026 in 3 weeks' time. I think it's the 4th of January. And that will be the last one for a while, because we are going to take a break, go away into retreat. And so anyway, she'll talk about that next year. Funny, yeah. In 3 weeks' time, it'll be 2026. Just a little bit of trivia. 2026, come February, I think, is the year of the fire horse. So watch out. It's my year. I was born in 1966. And, you know, what happens in Chinese astrology comes around. So it'll be 60 years. Is that right? I think it's right. Yeah, 60 years that it takes to do a complete cycle for the same element of the fire horse. So it's going to be a big year for me. Lots of things planned, which I never, very, very rarely do. But for some reason, the energy of the fire horse is about to, you know, kick off. It's probably starting to kick off. John's also a fire horse. Woohoo. Yeah, so I wish everyone well and a peaceful, calm, happy end to 2025. We're all thinking of you, sending all our love and blessings, and we'll continue to do so. And may the masters who you are surrounded by, don't forget that, you're surrounded by all these priceless teachings. May they continue to provide you with the guidance and support that their boundless compassion and endless wisdom is capable of doing. So whenever in doubt, just go back and listen to the Dharma. It'll be your refuge. It'll point you where you need to be. And you don't need to be anywhere, actually. You need to just come back to your heart and let go of all these questions and opinions, worries and doubts and desires, and you have arrived. So much love, and we'll see you next year sometime. Ciao, ciao. I'm going to end the stream.